Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show!
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a new edition of And New MMA Show. We are going to be the only two hosts this evening. My name is Omar. I am in Tampa. With me, most of the time, is Mark from New York. Say hello to the folks.
What's up, folks? Still settling into this new recording location. I don't know what to do about it. I have this freaking thing behind me, and it has all sports stuff in it. Like Connor's up there, gloves, but you can't fucking see anything. So I open it, but it looks really stupid. It looks even more boring if it's closed. So I can't resolve this situation. I don't know what we're gonna do going forward, but weird open doors behind me is not it. So I don't know, but that's what it is for tonight. At least my video is back. My sound is back. We're down a man, but we're gonna pick it up. And yeah, for those who don't know, the reason Mike is not here is because he can't face the music after the incredible comeback that I have just completed.
Oh boy!
So I will say this so he can hear it when he listens.
Oh boy!
I was down in the pick'em since probably February. I was down 5 with 2 events to go. I cut it to 2 on the final event. We had 3 differences. I needed them to all go my way, and your boy got it done. Won the 2023 Pick'em by 1 fight, past Mike at the last possible moment with Pantoja beating Royval, and he couldn't face the music today. He was in the lead all year. He thought he was running away with it, and he bailed on the show. So we'll see.
He bailed. He bailed on the show to go be Ebenezer Scrooge or some sort of something musical,
some Christmas event that he's using as an excuse.
Something involving his voice yet again, but he will not be using his voice for this show tonight. For his Christmas spectacular running throughout the week, all ages attend. We wish him. Yeah, we wish him good luck. Hope he's, he doesn't fuck up. All right, guys. So we're basically going to get into this episode. There's no UFC up this upcoming week. Obviously, we're going to the Christmas weekend here in the United States. So we will be recapping all of 296. If I can finagle some MMA Sphere stuff sometime during the episode, maybe we'll do that too. If not, we will end with the Priaulx rankings and a soft little goodbye right at the very end. Nice, short, and sweet this week. So we will hop right into it. But before we do, Mike would probably try to choke me out if I didn't actually put this part in here. So always remember, for those of you guys who aren't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for the notifications, and make sure you guys are not missing any of our episodes. We enjoy talking about all things MMA, all things MMA cards. Try to go through Bellator. We try to go through ONE FC when they have MMA cards or some sort of amalgam of them. So yeah, definitely make sure you guys are following us and clicking that bell for notifications. If you like our videos, please make sure you hit the like button on there. That definitely helps us the most. If you dislike our videos, don't hit the dislike button. I know people say that, but that shit doesn't make any sense to me. Just hit the like video. It's fine. And definitely leave a comment. If you guys have any comments, definitely make sure to do that. We like interacting with folks when they have genuinely good ideas. Those of you with chooch ideas, just keep those to yourself. And that is all we have. Let's jump right into the episode this week.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. This week, the name on the marquee is Leon Rocky Edwards, putting a stop to the evil reign of Colby Covington by winning a 5-round unanimous decision, winning 4 out of the 5 rounds in what was, I think, considering the hype and all the nonsense that led up to it, a bit of a lackluster performance probably on both sides. I'm sure we'll both have opinions about this. We'll start with Mark, and let me know what you thought about Leon's performance, and probably even more interesting, Colby's performance.
Yeah, I was just going to say pretty much exactly that, which is that as much as this is a Leon marquee, and I don't want to take anything away from him, I feel like it's more so a Colby, a Colby anti-marquee. As I choke on popcorn, he looked bad. I mean, this was pretty disappointing as a whole because the Colby that showed up to fight Leon wasn't the Colby Covington that we're used to seeing in there. I don't know if he just had a really bad case of ring rust, or maybe he's gotten old quick in these 2 years off. Obviously, he wouldn't be the first fighter we've seen that happen with. But man, that's not how Colby Covington fights. And you could tell the announcers were like, what the hell are we looking at? There was no pressure. There was no pace. I said this in our group text, me, you, and Mike, but not to oversimplify Colby, but the pace and the pressure is kind of all he has. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. He doesn't have the best technique. He doesn't have the most power. He's not some elite striker. He is a high-level wrestler, but it works. The only reason any of it works is because of the pressure and the pace. That's what makes him great. And it breaks guys. And he left that at home. For him to come in and fight without that was basically just showing up for a paycheck and a loss, because there was nothing he made Leon Edwards have to think about in that fight. A low-paced Colby has no chance on earth of beating Leon Edwards. And that's exactly how we saw that play out. To compliment Leon, I will say, to his credit, from jump, he did a fantastic job controlling the octagon, walking forward, feinting, stance switching, which I do think was giving Colby problems, trying to trap Colby, everything he could do to make Colby move backwards and make Colby a little tentative to go forward. So I'm sure he had a hand in it, in Colby maybe being a little less aggressive, but a lot of it was just Colby not fighting the way we're used to seeing him fight. And Leon, to his credit, again, his takedown D was solid. He had some good get-ups. His grappling was on point until late in the fight. Was the first time really Colby ever got an advantage there. He did rip Colby's legs. He fought a really solid, poised, precise fight for a guy who had so much emotion going into it from things that Colby had said. So I do give him credit for that. And I think the reason we didn't see like more from Leon is because he was kind of like, all right, if this dude is just going to stand there and ring strike with me, then I don't really need to take many risks here, because I'm obviously going to win this fight. And that's all we got for pretty much the whole fight. So I don't know. I mean, I give Leon his credit, but the story of that fight to me was Colby looking like a shell of himself.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the real issue for me was after those 3 rounds, when you knew Leon had it in the bag and Colby wasn't really presenting with much, I just feel like Leon had an opportunity to push it even more. Maybe even look for the finish. You know what I mean? Like Colby really hadn't done much of anything. I was surprised to find out. I think I told you guys in the text. I was surprised to find out he attempted 10 takedowns. I don't even remember taking takedowns. No.
Yeah.
So it was definitely disappointing, especially with all the shit that Colby was talking, and it's so difficult to get behind him, even as an anti-fan. Like, I just don't even want to watch him. He just seems like such a bluff, that kid. Yeah. And just he builds things up to like not even show up. And then, I was watching this at a Wild Wings, and a lot of the people that were there at the time were like big Trump dudes, big Colby guys. You saw Trump on screen, and everybody's cheering and stuff like that. So everybody was on Colby's side for the most part in that Wild Wings. By the end of this, people were done with Colby, and then by the end of the actual the moment the bell rang and Colby gets up and puts his hands up in the air like he had done something. I remember dudes at the bar, like at the actual bar area, being like, "You didn't fucking do anything!" Like just yelling at the 8 monitors that have this fucking fight up. And it was crazy, man. I mean, I think he did more damage to his brand in this fight than I think he has at all. Not only did he, cross a line that I think a lot of people unanimously thought was a bit too much. Even the hardcores, that like that kind of crazy shit, I think either they were like, well, might have been a step too far. And on top of that, he didn't even really back it up with a performance. It wasn't even like the intensity from the shit talking backed up the actual fight itself. And I think from Leon's perspective, once we got to that point, it was definitely about Leon. Leon can't lose to that kid. Like his ego won't allow him to lose to somebody that he doesn't even respect. And so I think that was really where the tentativeness came from, as far as not wanting to push the pace, or not wanting to push the envelope more than he needed to. I think he wanted to stay as safe as possible. I think he wanted to sun him a little bit in certain places. I think he tried to do that on the grappling when he tried to go for reversals a lot, tried to basically show Colby that his grappling was garbage. So I think there were a lot of moments like that. Joe Rogan had his own opinion about whether that was a good idea or not. I kind of like that stuff a little bit. I thought Colby, I thought had Leon been more successful, I think there probably would have been less debate about it. But he did lose position a couple of times. So it wasn't like he was 100% successful in trying to do those things, but there were a lot of moments where he reversed Colby Covington and had him on his back. So I thought it was I thought it was a good performance from Leon considering the circumstances, and I can totally see how Colby got in his head. I mean, that's a reality. That's something that really happens. And I know his camp and his mom and stuff like that have worked to try to make sure that it didn't really affect him. But, we've seen Leon Edwards be more active in other fights, more so than he did in this one. So I'm sure it was all a mess by the time it was all said and done. I think I like Colby even less now than before, which is saying something because the bar wasn't very high to begin with. But the only thing I ever used to say about him was, even though I don't like him, you can't deny the way that he fights and the success that he has in his game. Nah, I don't even have that. So I don't know. I guess he's got to figure it out, man. But Leon is the champion, and we get to see him defend his belt, hopefully against Bilal next.
Yeah, you nailed it with the hurting of the brand for Colby, because it's just like you said, the people who dislike Colby for a while have been wanting to hate on him even more than they do. But they're hit with this reality of like, well, fuck, he did come in there and scrap. Like, he did come in there and battle Usman. He did come in there and beat Jorge bell to bell. And it's like it prevents you from fully, trashing the dude. Now, a lot changes. For him to talk the way he did and come in and fight like that, I think a lot of people, and I can see it even in like casual group text that I'm in, of people being like, wow, Colby fucking sucks. Like, why do you guys like care about when this dude fights? Like, that was awful, from like, people that don't always watch him. And like, that's what's going to happen. People are just going to hop off, even respecting the game of Colby. So he lost some buzz here for sure, and he's going to have to get it back. And as I said, I don't know if he can. I don't know if the prior Colby is still there, because for 2 years to pass and then for him to look like that, it's a long amount of time, and it may very well be like, that prime passed him by.
100%.
Jorge sucker punched it out of him.
So I didn't want to say that, but I do wonder if Jorge's little ass beating kind of messed him up a little
mentally.
bit.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Very possible,
Very possible.
Colby, for as good as a fighter as Colby is, he's never, since the boomerang days of Verdum, given me that vibe that he's about that life. And he likes to play gangster on these press conferences and all these little, public venues. And then as soon as the camera and the mic are just a little further away, he's like looking at these guys that he's basically talked the most amount of shit that they've probably heard since like high school. And he's like, hey, just kidding. And he thinks it's going to be cool. It's like
they had that going around this time, but it was clearly edited.
Think about it though. There's no country in the world, there's no place in the world where you look somebody dead in somebody's face, tell them that you're going to take them to the seventh circle of hell and that we're going to meet your dead father down there when his father is actually dead, and not take a baseball bat to the face. You know what I mean?
Bro, exactly that is what I said to someone. Like, that's the kind of shit that is line crossing for me that I wish was not in MMA. And the group text I was in, everyone was like, "Oh, dude, they're about to try to kill each other. Why do you care what they say?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, that is a different level. Like if you told me say on Thursday of fight week, Shavkat's crew jumped Stephen Thompson in the fighter hotel, I'd be like, that's so fucked up. That's so unprofessional. Blah 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 blah. If you told me after Colby made those comments that Leon Edwards' crew jumped Colby in the fighter hotel, I'd be like, good, he fucking deserved it. Like, that's the kind of shit that you ask for when you say stuff like that. And I even use what you just said. You ask for someone to run up on you with a baseball bat to the back of the head. Like, you can't say that kind of shit. And if people keep crossing these lines, and Duplessis just did the same thing to Sean Strickland. He said he was going to, I mean, not the same thing, but similar vibes, because Sean has openly talked about the abuse he experienced from his father when he was a kid. And Drake has said he was going to beat him so bad that Sean was going to have flashbacks to laying in bed and his father barging into the room to beat him. And like, someone is going to say shit like this to the wrong dude. And Sean Strickland is like close to being the wrong dude. And they're going to get shot. Like, that's the kind of shit I wish people would just chill the fuck out with, so nothing crazy pops off and we can just have fights. Like, you want to talk shit, talk your shit. But there's a line that you got to toe. You can say a lot in this game and people will let it go. But there's a line of finality that you just got to make sure you stay on the other side of, at least to me.
To me, it's just lazy. You know what I mean? If you're going to put all this effort into shit talking, like, be creative with it. Don't take all the low hanging fruit and then just be gross about it. It just, I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun for everyone. You can hear as soon as Colby said it, like nobody in the crowd reacted. Everybody was probably everybody probably looked at each other like, did he really say that just now? And I think it took everybody a moment to process what had just happened in that moment. Everybody.
Yep.
All right. So where do we go from here with Leon Edwards?
It's got to be Priaulx, right? Like, it's only fair. It's unsettled between them. He's the rightful contender. He's got this crazy win streak. He's been waiting. He even weighed in as the backup here. Like, it's got to be him. I know Leon's already throwing some other names out there, but I hope we don't do any bullshit. And this was Leon. At one point, Leon was Priaulx. So you would think if anyone understood Bilal's situation, it would be Leon.
That's actually that's his argument for why it shouldn't be Priaulx. He's like, I had that win streak too, and they told me to go fuck myself. So why should Priaulx get the next shot?
Yeah. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Like,
it can't be Shavkat. And the only other thing you can do is make Shavkat fight Priaulx, which also seems ridiculously crazy. Like,
or Leon and Islam have obviously been talking about each other, but like, Islam's got numerous guys waiting in the wings, so that's stupid too.
Well, so, Islam's also talking about October for that fight. Yeah. So who the fuck has time for that?
And Leon's talking about Strickland as well, but like, I don't know. I'd much rather just see him fight Priaulx.
I'll be honest. If there was a fight that Leon Edwards could probably win at 185, that's not a bad one.
No, not a bad one.
It's not a bad one. So I can see where he's going with that. I can't hate on him with that. I mean, he is a lot smaller, but I wonder how good Leon Edwards would look filled up, not having to cut weight, able to really blast some shit. And his striking very well might be better than Strickland's.
I think a lot of fighters see Sean Strickland as a champion right now, and they're like, yo, I could beat him. I'm not sure how right they all are, but I guess we're going to find out.
You're not wrong. What about Colby? Where does that chooch go?
I just I pulled up the internet and I took you away. Now I can't see you. Let's bring you back. There you go. I like Colby's suggestion of him and Wonderboy. I think that's where we should go after the performance we just saw from Colby. Like, people are saying, oh, okay, now put Shavkat in there against Colby. I don't get that. He looked very bad. We're going to put him in another number one contender fight. I'd rather move him down the line a little bit, give him another guy who just lost, a fight that's maybe a little bit more winnable, and see if he can bounce back and look really good and have people being like, there's Colby Covington. That's how he normally fights. I'd rather put ourselves in a situation like that. So to me, I would go Colby and Wonderboy. If Shavkat needs a fight, assuming Usman is not a welterweight anymore, I think maybe you could go Sean Brady. I know it's a little crazy, but everyone
That's a
else is
little crazy.
booked, and
Yeah.
Brady looks unreal. And I think he makes more sense at this point than Covington does for a Shavkat opponent. So those would be my two bookings.
I wouldn't hold my breath on the Wonder Boy Colby fight, just because apparently Colby called him a pedophile at some point. I guess was talking about how he's because Wonder
How he's
Boy
like a coach of little kids and stuff.
and just does what Colby does and took something and ran completely fucking left with it. So I think Wonder Boy's at a point now where he doesn't really need that, and I just can't see that dude having to deal with press conferences and stuff with this guy.
I don't know, man. He was talking all about his one more title run, and now he lost. If he could beat Colby, he's right back in the mix. I'm not sure there's a quicker avenue to being back in the mix.
Yeah, I guess if they made some assurances, maybe we'll see it. But I wouldn't hold your breath. I was going towards the loser of the Gilbert Burns and Jack Della fight. That one's going down in March.
Yep.
I think that'd probably be the best course of action for Colby, I think, at this point.
I do like that also.
All right, let's keep the train rolling down. Next, we had a fight of great consequence between the champion Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval. Alexander Pantoja wins by unanimous decision. Mark, how did you have the fight?
You want to take this one first, or you want to keep pitching them to me?
I'll pitch this one to you. I'll take the next one first.
All right. Alexandre Pantoja, the way he comes out of the gate is something to behold. He is just scary when that bell first rings. He's like a dog trying to eat in there. And he brought the pace and the craziness to Royval that Royval normally brings. And I feel like he set the tone for the whole fight in that first round. He just was overwhelming him. And he also reminded Royval again who the better grappler is. He got a lot done in that round in the mental aspect of things, I think, because Royval really had no success in any area. And I think he went back to his corner feeling very much like, well, fuck, that didn't go well. And round two was more of the same. For those first two rounds, there just seemed to be such a power difference. And I don't just mean punching power, but like power of movement. Everything Pantoja did had Royval moving backwards. Every step he took made Royval like take a little stumble backwards. Whereas Pantoja defensively would just get his hands up and move his head and stand his ground. Like there was nothing Royval was doing that was backing Pantoja up, but everything Pantoja was doing was backing up Royval. In round three, he did have the reset round where you could see the cardio start to fade a little bit. Not the first time we've seen like an off round from Pantoja cardio wise. And all of a sudden in that round, Brandon Royval found his rhythm and was in that fight. And it was like, oh shit. But, props to Pantoja. He knew round three wasn't ideal. And he came out and maybe had his most dominant round in round four that he completely controlled with the grappling. I mean, Royval had a strong 30 seconds to end it, but that was about it. And think about how good of a grappler Brandon Royval is, and then think about the level that Pantoja must be to be dominating him on the mat the way that he was in that entire round. The dude is really good. And then round five, again, the cardio was a bit of a factor. Again, he started getting stuck on the end of Royval's punches, but he pushed through. He found a way to get a takedown, and he got it done. And he's a great champion, man. He does it all. He can be dominant in many different areas, and if he can shore up that cardio just a little bit more, he's going to be really difficult for anyone to beat.
Yeah, I think the thing that I love about Pantoja is I think the best word that you may have been looking for was intensity, right? Everything he does is at a high level when it comes to intensity.
Yep.
And I think I talked about this last week where both him and Royval have ground games that are very good, but the approach to the ground game is very different. Royval is a very opportunistic guy. He likes to roll. He likes to feel things out. He likes to go with the flow and kind of catch things as they come. Pantoja is a very, move for move grappler, right? He's very positional in his approach. So he's going to be in one position. He's going to be in that one position properly until he can move over to the next position properly, right? He's not that much of a roller, that much of a scrambler of sorts. And I did think that Pantoja's precision on the ground and his ability to stay defensive and protected on the ground wouldn't allow for Royval to do the ground game that he normally does, that allows him to catch people in submissions and catch people in crazy sweeps and stuff like that. And that's pretty much what we saw. A lot of his game was negated not only on the feet from the striking and the power of Pantoja, but also on the ground, just from the position and from what looks like a very heavy top control position. So it was across the board from beginning to end. I thought it was a really dominant performance from Pantoja. Even when he did start to fade, I still thought that he was winning those rounds. I had him winning all 5 rounds. I know some people had Royval winning the 5th round. I can see why. I think he looked the best in the 5th round. I still don't think he won the 5th round. But, sometimes we can it might seem one way or another just because of how different it looked compared to some of the other rounds. But if we look at the 5th round just by itself without any of the other rounds, I don't think that Royval won that round. So I had Pantoja winning all 5 rounds. Definitely the rifle winner. Crazy good performance, I thought, from him. And another one in the book for him, man.
Yeah, the 5th was the only one that I was torn on. As much as I said the 3rd was a down round for Pantoja, I just meant like in comparison to 1, 2, and 4. I do still think he won the 3rd round.
Yeah. All right. Where are we going with Pantoja? I'll go first for this one. So for Pantoja, I was going to give him the winner, obviously, of the Moreno-Albazi fight. I feel like at this point that's, there's not too much craziness going on in flyweight that we can't decipher, and that seems to be the logical next step.
So agree. That's certainly the logical next step. If Albazi beats Moreno, then yes, 100%. Fresh face, clear number 1 contender. You do that fight. If Moreno wins that fight, I don't know that they jump to do a 4th Pantoja Moreno when Pantoja's already up 3-0. Maybe they will just because Moreno is a sell for them. But if he does win that fight, I think Manel Kopp at least has an outside chance if he beats Mateusz Nicolau coming up in a few weeks here. Like if he ever knocked out Nicolau and killed it on the mic after, and then Moreno won, it wouldn't shock me if he snuck his way in there with an outside chance of sneaking in.
Wow. That would be an interesting interesting announcement if we ended up seeing it like that. For Royval, I did have the loser of Moreno and Albazi.
Agree, 100%. I think it works either way. He hasn't fought Albazi. It would be dope for him to get his rematch with Moreno since he didn't actually lose that fight. He lost it because of the injury. So yeah, either way, I think that's the move.
Perfect. All right, it is unanimous.
Let us move. I will pitch this one to you instead.
Do it.
So the Nomad keeps it rolling. Shavkat Rakhmonov with a round 2 submission over Wonderboy Stephen Thompson. 18-0, 18 finishes. No one stopping this guy yet. What'd you think?
Shavkat's a problem. He's a real problem. You just don't do that to Wonderboy. There's a lot of things you can do to Wonderboy on the ground. You can control him. You can nullify his striking. You can spend entire rounds trying to take him down. We had yet to see somebody actually put Wonderboy in a fucked up position and submit him. And that's exactly what we saw after a few good rounds of good work, as far as I was concerned. And apparently this was on a broken ankle or a sprained ankle or something crazy.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
you
this.
didn't know?
Wow. Nope.
Yeah, Shavkat had an injury going into that fight, which is apparently why he had a very serious ankle injury.
Wow.
And apparently it's why he didn't kick very much and why he was relying on his wrestling more than he had originally intended to. But
Damn.
apparently he
I
had
didn't hear
torn a major ligament in his ankle 6 weeks before the fight. Apparently he thought about pulling out of the fight. It was actually that bad. So,
that.
but there you go.
Jeez.
Wins. I know. And the crazy thing about that fight for me was, Wonder Boy still looked like he had his movement, he had his range, he had his speed. But I mean, the size difference was fucking concerning because Wonder Boy is not a small dude, and he looked visibly smaller than Shavkat did in there.
Yeah.
So I think Shavkat cuts. It looked like Shavkat cuts a ton of weight to make 170. I don't know how long he has at 170. If that really is the case, we might have like a Hamzat Chimaev kind of situation going on here at some point. I guess we'll see. But
Yeah.
no one does that to
God,
Wonder Boy, man. It was super impressive to see that whole performance from beginning to end. And if he can keep making 170, he's probably gonna get that belt at some point.
Yeah, he looks dominant. I mean, it wasn't the most thrilling performance from him, but why would it be? It's not. He's not Kevin Holland. The man is here to be the champion. He's not here to have a fun fight with Stephen Thompson, and he showed us that he had zero interest in that. He stayed safe when they were striking. He tried to keep the range until he was ready to close the distance as safely as he could, and he knew that if he got it to the mat, he'd have a big advantage once they were down there. And in the first round, he couldn't make it happen, but he did in the second, and you could see that advantage right away. He was methodical down there. He sets up chokes so well. He slips his arms in when it looks like there's not even openings there. He sets these little traps, and he finished Stephen Thompson to make it 18 finishes in 18 fights, which is just insane. I mean, that type of streak is always crazy, but when you're maybe one fight away from the title and you still have that streak intact, that is another level. You don't hear dudes doing that to this high of a point. So yeah, he is a scary contender right now, and he's close. He's probably one win away. You're muted.
I think the other thing too that's impressive, that's to your point, is he's not winning by like fluke, right? It's not like he's been getting fucked up the whole fight and he found a submission and the winning streak continues.
He's not doing the Brian Ortega move.
No, he's not Brian Ortegaing his way up to the top. Bless Brian Ortega, but
I fucking love Brian Ortega, but
he made it really rough on himself. Yeah. He is dominating these fights. There have not been very many situations in Shavkat's run so far where he's had almost any opposition. Jeff Neal might have given him some shit for a little bit.
Yeah, Neal's still the only one that even was competitive. It's not like Wonder Boy did anything significant.
And Jeff Neal got choked out the way a child gets choked out on the playground. Yep. Like, just stood behind him like a grown-ass man and just choked him out. It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that in my life. In real life, I should say. Movies, it happens all the time. People get choked out in movies like it's like tomorrow's breakfast. It's like the easiest thing you can do to people. Shavkat did that shit in real life. It's crazy. All right, what do we got here? Did we match these guys up? We did not match these guys up. What did you have for Rakhmonov?
So for me, I kind of said both of these on this show already. I do think he has to wait for Leon and Bilal to happen, and I hope they don't match him with Colby. I like what I said earlier with Brady. You have a lot of these guys are booked. Burns is fighting JDM. Gary's fighting Neal. Usman, I think, is still looking at middleweight. Who even knows? But I think that Shavkat and Brady is a fight that works, and that's where I would go. And then for Wonder Boy, as I said before, I do like the Colby fight, just because one of them will get the win and maybe have a chance at one more run.
Yeah, I've so for Rakhmonov, I had Usman. Again, just like you said, though, I don't know
if he's a welterweight.
What that situation is.
Yeah.
But I did have him on that list, and then if not Usman, for me, it was going to be the winner of Edwards and Bilal. Who else can you market the same as Rakhmonov right now in the welterweight division for that title shot? It just seems to be the most sense, For Wonder Boy, I actually had the winner of Jeff Neal and Ian Gary. I think either one of those dudes is actually stylistically a fantastic matchup for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
He beat Jeff Neal not that long ago.
So that might only work if it's Ian Gary. It'll probably be Ian Gary.
Sort of longer ago than I thought. I just looked 2020. So you could argue.
By
Neal
that
could
point,
have a
it'll be
chance.
4 years.
Yeah. So all right. God, that feels more recent. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, especially if it's Gary. I mean, fucking sign me up for that.
Yeah. All right, let's keep the train moving along. Next fight that we have here is the most emotional fight we probably had all night. And we have Paddy Pimblett's unanimous decision win over legend Tony Ferguson. Lots of opinions here, I'm sure, from all angles. Do you want to go first? Because I have some opinions.
I'll go first. I think you're going to hate on it even more than me. I know this fight is catching hate in both directions, and it is justified. Yes, Tony looks unfathomably slow and weak and non-reactive and is just a shell of the guy we once watched terrorizing this division. Them's the facts, unfortunately. And yes, Paddy's striking does still have a ways to go. His chin is still floating out there in the wind. His hooks are still twice as wide as they should be half the time he throws them. But as possibly the resident Paddy non-believer on this show, based on some of my comments when he first came to the UFC, I'm going to choose to defend him a little bit here. He fought pretty well, I thought, and it's still a nice step forward in his career to beat Tony. Striking defense aside, he looked to me like he had made some strides offensively. He looked like he had much more of an idea of what he wanted to do, more measured, less wild, more flowing between his strikes and less just like winging and blitzing. I thought he looked better physically. And his grappling, whether people want to admit it or not, is top notch. He dominated Tony on the mat. Tony had no outs, nothing close to an out at any point. So I thought overall it was a pretty solid show from Paddy. And I also love that he came out hunting for the kill. He didn't get it, obviously, because Tony's Tony. But for him having to sit out, recovering from surgery, hearing all the shit talk about the Jared Gordon fight, and then come out real hard the way he did and knock down Tony right away and try to finish that thing, I liked seeing that. I thought that was a good sign for, how the mental side of things for Paddy going forward. Is he still liable to be flatlined by a top shelf striker at some point soon? 100%. But I thought it was a good night for him.
I can't put striking defense aside. I can't. It's to me, it's just as important as striking itself. Congratulations, you can throw a hook. What does it matter if you've gotten knocked out before the hook lands? Defense to me is to me just as important, if not more important. So it bothers the fuck out of me when I see professional fighters throwing hooks worse than dudes who have been training for like 6-7 months. You know what I mean? Like, it's really upsetting. Like, there's no reason you're like, even, we've seen dudes play around with the distance of their hands and kind of where they put them when they're defending and stuff like that. Some dudes aren't always like this, with their tight turtle shells and stuff like that. Paddy's hands are non-existent. He's almost got them like behind his back. Like, I'm so confused as to how this man gets away with this shit in training. How a trainer hasn't like bashed him over the head repeatedly with pads and all kinds of shit to get him to not drop his hands. Like, somebody needs to go in there with a paracord and just wrap his hand around his head to make sure that it doesn't move while he's like, seriously, because look at what happened to Bryce Mitchell, right? Look at what happened to Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett. We're going to get to that in more detail in a little bit. But just look at that. And that was Bryce Mitchell throwing a strike at the same time, let alone Paddy Pimblett, who not only puts his head up in the air like he's trying to smell for fucking pie on somebody's windowsill, but he's also got his hands down at the same time. So, like, none of the defense is there at all. Credit where credit is due. He looked like he was in incredible shape. That was, I think, beyond the best physical form I think we've seen him in. It looks like he's taking that part of his training super seriously. He said he wasn't going to be going through those ballooning moments anymore in between fights. He said he was going to be a lot more diligent about his diet and his physical fitness. I think his ground game is exceptional. You can tell that his top game is very, very heavy. He's another one who's very big on position. There are guys who won't sacrifice a potential submission to lose their position there, and I think Paddy kind of has that same kind of approach to the game as well. And he was able to land some strikes from top as well. I thought his ground game is what makes him. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that's keeping him going at this point is that elite ground game, because the striking, it is not.
I mean, the only game where he couldn't get the only fight where he couldn't get the ground game going was the Gordon fight, and everyone shitted on him.
Yeah, I really hope that he goes back and he's honest with himself, and he really looks at this performance and he's like, damn, somebody's going to knock me the fuck out if I keep this up. And I hope he doesn't have a bunch of yes men now with his popularity and all this stuff where they're like, no, Paddy, you're good. I really hope like they're being honest with him and they're like, if you don't put your hands up, they're going to kill you. It's difficult for me to enjoy a fight like that, especially knowing how good Tony Ferguson has been in the past, to see somebody with as many flaws as Paddy on the feet and Tony unable to do a damn thing about it. That was the other super frustrating thing about this fight. The ground game also from Tony looked absolutely horrid. We've seen Tony throw like 15 elbows on the ground within seconds of his back hitting the mat. I think that dude threw like 3 the whole fight from his back. Like something is missing from that dude. I don't know what it is. Could be age. Could be that dog inside of him. You know what I mean? At some point, a lot of these fighters lose that dog. There's no shame in it. Dudes get money. Dudes get comfortable. Dudes aren't. They don't have the same motivation to fight for the same things anymore because their lives have changed for the better. And so there's no shame in that dog leaving you. I understand that it's an identity thing, I'm assuming, and I'm sure guys have trouble reconciling with that. We see guys in there longer than they need to be because it's who they are. And, retiring from this sport, retiring from those walks and being inside of that octagon is retiring from a part of who they are. And I can empathize. It seems like it would be difficult to do some shit like that and find something else to do at like 38 or whatever, It's not like the dude's 65 or he can just ride off into the sunset. So I hope he gets something figured out, man. It's just really sad to watch him look so uncomfortable, so uncoordinated, so lost in the octagon all of a sudden. It's inexplicable and it's super difficult to enjoy. So this was not my favorite fight. I was hoping for something more enjoyable as far as competition was concerned and technique, but alas, here we are.
Yes.
All right. Where do we go for Paddy Pimblett?
I'm going Bobby King Green. They've both talked about it before. Bobby's coming off a loss. He needs to show that he can turn someone back. It's a buzzworthy fight. People will love that fight. I think he's a perfect next step. Not to mention, while obviously it's a risk for the UFC because of the talent of Bobby Green, it's a little less of a risk than maybe someone like a Matt Frivola or a Drew Dober, who are other guys at a similar level, just because Bobby is a little less of a one-shot KO artist.
What? Okay. I'm over here looking at what the height is at UFC.com. What the fuck is this 70 here? Why can't you just put what it is in feet and inches? What is this fucking, what is this not, what is this, centimeters? Did they put this shit in centimeters? What is this?
70 is 5'10".
What? They didn't even put a fucking metric in here. It just says height 70. What
There's
is
no inch
this?
symbol?
No. No.
That's stupid. Whose height is that?
Christ. Bobby Green's.
Mm.
And so, what is, who the fuck are we talking about? I'm already lost. Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's tall, right? I'm not bugging.
I don't think he's taller than that.
No?
5'10", at least according to Google.
Fuck, he seems tall. I don't know why. Yeah. All right, that might be, I mean, that's, Paddy better learn how to keep his chin down, man. Just keep your chin down, at least. You can keep your hands, I guess, wherever you want, but just start with the chin down. You're giving him cupcakes with your chin in the air like that. Ugh.
It'd be a fun one, though.
I don't disagree. I want to see him against. I want to see this Jared Gordon rematch. They've talked about it before. I think from a rankings perspective, they're still right there. They're still right next to each other at this point. So, fuck it. Let's just let it happen, and we'll be done with it at that point.
I don't hate it. I don't know that Paddy would go for it, but yeah, I don't hate it.
I don't think he enjoyed himself in that fight.
What are you doing with Tony?
We're putting him out to pasture, my guy. I'm not here for it. I can't do it. It was super sad to watch. He's taken so honestly, man, since the Gaethje fight, I haven't really wanted to watch Tony get his ass beat anymore. The Gaethje fight was probably one of the hardest fights I've had to watch, and also equally one of the most beautiful performances I've ever seen in my life. That was a rough one, and it hasn't gotten any better since then. So I think I'm done. I think I've officially jumped off that train, man.
So he's already said he's not retiring. Dana has said he wishes he would. I'm not sure how aggressive they will be pushing a guy like Tony out the door. Obviously, he's not the first, high-level fighter they've had to take this approach with, so it's not like it's unheard of. But I would love it if they could convince him, we'll give you one more, you retire at UFC 300, and he gets to be on that card, one last check in a box for Tony to be on such a big card. And I'd put him across a vet such as a Jim Miller or a Clay Guida. I think either of those would be fitting final fights for Tony Ferguson.
Those make me sad. They just make me sad. Like, I already imagine as soon as you said Jim Miller, like, Jim Miller's going to elbow him to death.
Miller's far more risky than Guida. Yeah.
Yeah.
The safer bet is to go Guida.
And then that fight just sounds like it's probably not going to be the most exciting fight.
Dude, it might be crazy. It might just have crazy scrambles and shit.
It could be. I don't know. I mean, every now and again we see some of these situations where guys are at the top. I mean, they're just doing the damn thing, interim title, 7-fight win streak, fucking everybody up, the boogeyman of the division, Hellbows and the like.
Yeah.
Wake up one day, tripped over a cord, blew his knee out. I think he had one fight after that, and then ever since then, man, just has not been the same. It has not been the Tony Ferguson we knew.
It is true.
I will say if it's age, time is a cruel bitch, because that was not that long. Like, I mean,
dude, MMA, man, it goes fast. You hit 35, unless you're like heavyweight or light heavyweight. When you hit 35, you're running the risk right there. Like, for a lot of guys, it just falls off a cliff.
It's wild, man. It's wild. It's almost like you have a car, gorgeous engine, and then just one day the shit just don't work no more. It just doesn't go above 40 miles an hour for no reason. It's sad.
All right, let's get to our last recap here before we hit our lightning round. And it is the fight that you alluded to a few moments ago, which is the opener on the main card where Josh Emmett put Bryce Mitchell all types of out in round one with a monster knockout. What'd you think?
So this was probably some foreshadowing for the Colby fight, because what the fuck was Bryce Mitchell doing? Bryce Mitchell was another one who was not fighting his game. He came in on some other shit. Bryce Mitchell is also about pressure. He's about wrestling. He's about using his striking to make people uncomfortable, to then go in for the legs and work his ground game. That is his bread and butter. That is where he lives. Whoever told this kid, hey, jab Josh Emmett from the outside and keep distance, is a fucking asshole, and got that kid wrecked. I mean, it took one punch. It was maybe a total of 4 punches in that whole fight by the time it was all said and done. They were measuring distance for a while. You could see Josh Emmett calculating and just pawing at the distance, moving around, cutting his angles. Bryce Mitchell, by the time you knew it, was so close to the cage. I'm not even sure he knew that he was in that position at that point. And as soon as Josh Emmett went in for the kill, Bryce Mitchell threw a lackadaisical right hand that completely missed and just got crashed in with the right hook. I mean, his body gave out. His body went stiff before he even hit the ground.
Yeah, terrible.
And then he started seizing on the ground, which wasn't great. And then by the time they did get him conscious, his legs never really came back.
And he has since said he has no memory of any of it until he was in the ambulance. Yeah.
And a lot of times we hear with guys who run into a lot of those situations, these knockouts and things like that, they tend not to remember shit. They remember like the walkout. They remember, sometimes getting in the cage and stuff, but sometimes there are big chunks of time lost that, they're not getting back. And like a part of me is like, especially that one, do you want to remember that? Because I don't think I would. Like, I think I'm good with that. Big win for Emmett though, man. I mean, that's the performance that he needed. Emmett had a rough 2023, got his ass handed to him in 2 separate occasions. Quite badly, if I remember right. Especially the
Topuria was badly.
Yeah. The
Yair one. Yeah, no, they were both pretty bad.
They were both bad, but I think Topuria might have been worse though. Topuria.
Yeah.
They both fucked him up, but Topuria had a little bit of an extra level of saucy on his ass beating. But it was a great way to finish the year for Emmett, man. On top, highlight real KO. With this close to the end of the year, there might even be some bias for KO of the year. You never know. So good on Emmett for making the most out of what was a rough year. Great performance.
Yeah, I almost feel like we're not supposed to talk about this fight. Like, I feel like we saw a guy get killed on live television. That's how violent this thing was. Like, that was one of the most instant death on impact knockouts I've ever seen in my life. So I hope Bryce is okay. I hope there's no after effects that he's dealing with from that. You and I were mentioning this earlier, but I would love to see him take a bit of time before he's signing up for any next fight. And yeah, I mean, you covered most of it from Josh's perspective, but oh my God, does he have some crazy abnormal power? I mean, they always say it, that his power for featherweight is just crazy, and we see it again. What a shot. What a knockout. And like you said, he is back just like that.
Yep. So what are we going to do with Emmett then? Now that he's back in the win column, he's back in the mix, where does he go from here?
As much as I just said he's back, I still think the best answer for him is to fight the guy he was supposed to fight here anyway, which is Giga Chikadze. He's not out very long. He's going to be ready again soon. And I don't feel like there's anyone above Emmett he should be fighting at this moment. And I still think the most interesting opponent is Giga.
Okay. I actually had him paired up here with the winner of the Arnold Allen Evloev fight. I thought that would be interesting.
I mean, that's fair. I feel like whoever wins that fight is going to be expecting more than Josh Emmett, though.
I mean, but Josh Emmett just made a statement. It's very
I
possible
guess.
that I mean, if you're talking about the guy who just lost 2 in 2023, yeah, but this is also now the Josh Emmett. You're just as good as your most recent fight, and
Yeah.
he just sent this kid beyond the shadow realm. We bypassed the shadow realm completely.
Yes, we did.
Missed the stop. We're in fucking purgatory at this point. Just gone.
Yeah. No, it's valid. It's valid.
What about Bryce Mitchell? I think like we both alluded to, I think he definitely needs to take some time off. I would be okay with him taking like all of 2024 off, for being honest. It was a bad knockout, dude. It was really bad.
I don't disagree. For me, I would probably say I'd like to see him not maybe take his next fight in September. That would be, what would that be, like 10 months between fights? But for the sake of throwing a name out there, obviously we've seen him beat some top guys. He's beat Ige, he's beat Barboza, but that was a big knockout. So I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit, and I'm going to say let's throw him in there with Alex Caceres.
That's not a bad fight. That's not a bad fight. I might have given him somebody a little bit more violent than that. In Sadiq Youssef, I think it's a good fight for Sadiq to showcase himself in the event that Bryce Mitchell is but a shell of himself. And I think it's frankly, according to, where Bryce Mitchell was before all this, I think this is definitely a fight that he should be able to win.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good one too.
All right. We've reached it. We're here. It is time for the lightning round. I should be like fucking Mike with my fucking phone. Just play the noise.
Fucking idiot. Oh, man.
All right.
All right. You want to pitch the first one?
Let's pitch the first one here. Alonzo Menafield, unanimous decision over Dustin Jacoby Marco.
This was a crazy fight, and at first I thought I had read it correctly. This was one of the few on this card that I fucked up. Had a good bounce back card here, but I thought I had read it correctly at first in that Jacoby just looked like he was the more skilled striker. That's what it was seeming like through round one. But the power and the one-shot ability of Alonzo Menafield ended up being a huge differentiator in this fight. In round two, he hurt Jacoby more than once and just pulled away in that round. And then in round three, it's looking like Jacoby's recovered. He's popping the jab now. Menafield looks a little stuck. And it's like, wow, Jacoby had that really bad round two, but he's still going to win this decision off of 1 and 3. And then next thing you know, he's hurt again. And the power changes everything. Menafield lands big. Jacoby's rocked badly. He has to survive. He never really recovers or gets his legs back under him. And Alonzo Menafield gets himself a huge W.
Dude, Alonzo Menafield has looked good. He has looked good in his last few performances. He looked good in this one. I thought the thing that worked well for him was his movement. I mean, I think a lot of guys, especially at light heavyweight, tend to be very flat-footed, tend to be very heavy in their posture. And Alonzo Menafield is the type of guy that would generally be very heavy in his posture. All that goddamn muscle, all that mass that he's carrying around. You don't really see guys move around and bounce around all too much when they're that big. Menafield has found something that's allowed him to be this athletic or allowed him to be comfortable being this athletic in the cage. He's moving around a lot more now. He's a lot more mobile. His head movement looks pretty damn good.
Head movement.
A lot of his jab. I mean, Jacoby was popping jabs out left and right throughout that fight. And Alonzo Menafield was slipping in and out of a lot of those jabs. It was a great performance from Menafield, man. I don't know what happened, but he's found something and it is working for him. So he has to keep it going, man. He looked great.
Yeah, when I guess I'm ruining lightning round for a second, but when he first came into the UFC and he was knocking out dudes like Paul Craig, he looked like he was this good then. And then he hit this weird rut where he lost to William Knight, and I forget who he lost to before that. Devin Clark, was it? He lost to someone else like on that similar level. And he just looked like he had fallen off. And now all of a sudden he's back to what people thought he was. So,
but looking at his past fights, man, he wasn't he looks like he's a lot more comfortable in an entirety of a game. I think back then he was relying on those big strikes. He was relying on trying to knock guys out, right? It's once you knock a guy out, I feel like it can get very addictive and you kind of just go for that.
Yep.
But he's mixed up a lot of his strikes. He's mixed up his approach to the striking. Obviously, he's still trying to knock dudes out, but he's throwing body punches with it too, right? He's throwing kicks. He's throwing other things in there that I think before he wasn't mixing it up so much, but it didn't even seem like he had to because he was winning a lot of these earlier fights by knockout. Once you started getting to guys that like can read that right hand, you gotta make some adjustments. And he's gone through his losses, and he seems to have learned from them. And Menifield looks fucking good, man. He looks real good.
Agree.
All
right. Next one. This may have been the
fight of the night.
This was the fight of the night. Irene Aldana, UD over Priaulx. Omar, go.
Dog. This is a wild scrap. This whole scrap was crazy. I can't even imagine taking that many inside leg kicks. I have taken inside leg kicks before. It's not the same as taking an outside leg kick. You can't really put the same kind of weight on your leg on the inside to kind of shield yourself from that kick, which is why you saw Aldana's leg fucking flying all over the place every time that inside leg got kicked. It's very hard to condition yourself for inside leg kicks. It's very difficult to take inside leg kicks. You're probably better off checking them or just getting the hell out of the way in general. But Aldana's a beast. Aldana's a beast, man. There's not much more. We've seen people take leg kicks and not look the same. Colby took like 2 leg kicks and that fucking kid was limping for the rest of the fight. Aldana took like 100 leg kicks to the inside of her leg. Her leg had another leg attached to it by the end of that fight. And she was still moving, still bouncing, still jumping in and out of range. I mean, these girls put a beating on each other. And at no point in that fight did either one of them look like they were going to go down or falter or quit or stop. They both kept going. It was to the point where I was watching this fight. I didn't even realize we were in the 3rd round. They just never stopped. They just kept going. It was a beautiful performance. I hate that somebody had to lose that fight. If there was ever a fight where I wanted it to be a draw just because they both deserved to win, it was that fight. I think people that have a poor opinion of women's MMA need to watch that fight. Yeah. You're not a fight fan if you don't like that fight. It has no matter whether these people have whatever in between their legs or these women came to scrap. These were 2 warriors that were in that cage that beat the shit out of each other for our entertainment. And I cannot be more happy and appreciative of the performance.
You fucking nailed that one. But yeah, unreal fight. I mean, major props to both girls. Like you said, 2 warriors, and I felt bad that someone had to lose the fight because no one deserved to lose that fight. But aside from Irene Aldana needing to learn how to check a leg kick, I loved what I saw from her here. I love in MMA when a fighter can take the opening 5 minutes, go back to the corner, and be honest with themselves about the fact that they're in trouble if the fight continues the way that it's going, and then willingly make the hard choice on how to change it. And that's exactly what Irene Aldana did. And it doesn't happen often enough in fights. We were just saying about Anthony Smith recently, how he couldn't see that he needed to change that fight somehow. But Aldana went back to the corner and said, all right, I can't check these kicks. I'm getting ripped apart. I'm going to lose. The only solution here is that I march forward and risk significant violence and just continually close this distance and turn this into a blood and guts war and try to take the leg kick away as much as I possibly can, even though I'm going to eat more of those still too. She made the hard choice and she delivered on exactly what she had to do. And that's the only way. If she couldn't check a leg kick, that was the only way she was winning that fight. And she did it, and she won an incredible fight.
Fantastic performance. What do we got next here? Oh, we got Cody Garbrandt, round 1 KO over Brian Kelleher, and that haircut. Mark, go.
I told you. I said he better knock him out in 1, and he did. The pressure was on. I was happy to see him step up and do what I thought he could and should do if he is still relevant. And I think that he is. You know, him doing that, looking that fast, looking that powerful, getting a dominant knockout like that, it shows you that he's still here and he's still interesting. And there may be more fun to come from Cody Garbrandt as of yet. I know there were tough times, and this doesn't necessarily mean that his issues have been fixed, but the offensive threat that Cody is and has always been has not changed, and that's a big KO for him. And I do think he is re-entering the mix off of now back-to-back wins and that type of knockout.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much from this, but I want to give Cody his due credit because it is a big deal considering the slump he's been on in a little bit, especially considering even the wins that he's had recently, or maybe win. I'm not even sure if there's plural in there, but the performances performances haven't been the typical Cody Garbrandt performances we've come to know from him that have made him as popular as he was. I think this one was nice to see because he was in true form, moving, trying to land big bombs, not trying to play it too safe, not trying to be tentative. It looked like he was going in there to fight. And I think Brian Kelleher was the right dance partner because Brian Kelleher is not the kind of guy that will allow you to just coast in a fight. Brian Kelleher is a wild, crazy man that is going to try to make things ugly and violent himself. And it was nice to see Cody Garbrandt be able to kind of use his technique that we all knew that he had and take out Brian Kelleher early. I'm not entirely sure what the haircut was from Brian Kelleher, but it was disturbing. Rough. It was disturbing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was weird.
I can't even describe it. It's like a mullet that doesn't have a beginning.
My guess is that he might have had hair and then wanted to shave his head for the fight and was like, let me leave some weird shape here just to like be silly. That's if he's had that like the whole time, I'm very disturbed.
It's no good reason for that haircut. It's none.
We're not supposed to match dudes up in the lightning round, but
Mike's not here, so we can do what we want.
I was just getting ready to say that I doubt Cody is getting this Davison Figueiredo call out that he asked for. Yeah. But as I was thinking about it, a dude popped into my head that would be a really fun fight. Okay. What if we put Cody and Yanez across from each other?
I know Yanez not going to get leg kicked to hell, so I'm about it.
Like, bro, the boxing in that fight, oh, baby.
That would be great for Yanez, too, because if he smokes Cody, that's a name on the resume right there.
Yeah, and if Cody smoked him, same thing. Like, it would be like, well, fuck, all right, Cody's still here.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if Cody would go for it because he thinks he's fighting Davison Figueiredo. So I don't know.
We have dreams. We all have dreams.
All right, next one we go to nice little upset victory. Ariane Lipski with the round 2 submission of Casey O'Neill via armbar.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
No, I pitched it to you. You go. That's how this works.
I think Lipski looked fantastic, if we're being honest, in that fight. I thought she looked really aggressive in that fight, especially when we got into the second round. I think she had kind of seen that the first round wasn't the first round could have gone a lot better for her. And by the time she got into the second round, I mean, she really pushed the pace, really got in there, really got dirty with it, had her fucked up from the very beginning, throwing bombs from top position, getting control of her back, going from submission to submission, had her in an arm bar at one point that looked... I hate when women put other women in arm bars because they're generally just flexible and their arms just bend in such crazy ass ways that I just know if it was me, that shit would have snapped 8 different ways by the time it was all said and done. And we normally don't see a lot of women winning by armbar against women because of that fact. This was not one of those nights. Ariane Lipski had a good angle on that arm. What is this girl's name? Why am I blanking on this girl's name?
Casey O'Neill.
Casey O'Neill tried to spin out of it, tried to get out of that position, and she got stuck instead. And that was all she wrote Really solid second round from Ariane Lipski. Really solid performance all the way around.
Yeah, she didn't just pull the upset here. She was the better fighter all fight long. In round one, Casey O'Neill was getting lit up every single time that she entered range. And she was the one that got taken down. And then in round two, Casey got rocked. She ate a ton of shots. And then she got armbarred. I mean, it was every minute of that fight was Lipski's. That was all her. So a big leveling up for Ariane Lipski. And maybe a bit of a hard reality check that people accepted Casey O'Neill as like being this stud maybe a little too soon and without enough evidence behind that, as she's now lost 2 in a row. So we will see.
It's a nasty performance. Next, we have Tagir Ulanbekov, round 2 submission of Cody Durden. Mark, go.
Man, that had to be the best Tagir Ulanbekov we've seen to this point, I would think. I mean, obviously he has looked good in other fights, but he looked great in every aspect. Solid striking, dropped Durden early, nasty wrestling. That one takedown early in round 2 was fucking sexual. I literally jumped out of my chair for the takedown. And then the grappling was top shelf. He worked himself to advantageous spots, set things up, took his time, found the choke. And Durden is tough as all hell, and we knew this, but Ulanbekov broke him. That's a really good win for Tagir.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed with this performance as well. I thought this man's control was exceptional throughout. His top game looks terrifying. His pressure on the ground looks terrifying, and his ability to stick to people on the ground, terrifying. All that being said, by the time we got to that finish, man, that I don't even know if that choke was under the neck, but it either way.
No, that was like a neck crank, basically.
Yeah, he was going to break something at one point. It looked really tight, really strong. A fantastic performance from Ulanbekov. If this is the Ulanbekov we can come to expect going forward, we very well might see him in the top 15 in the near future.
Oh, he's in the top 15 already.
Top 10?
At least I think he is. I'd be surprised if he's not. Yeah, he's number 11. He was 12 going into this. There you go, top 10.
There you go.
Okay, 2 more. I will pitch this one to you. Andre Touchy Feely, round 1 TKO of Lucas Almeida. Go.
I just love big booty Latinas. I felt that shit with my whole soul. Feely comes out on top again, man. I picked Almeida last week. Feely's been up and down and things like that. Even the performances where he wins, aren't always the most I don't want to say impressive, but not necessarily the most dominant. I thought this was the best Andre Feely we've seen in a hot minute. His movement was fantastic. His range management was fantastic. His jab was really on point, and he looked real fucking good in this fight. I want to give him that credit. Lucas Almeida is another one where his chin's up in the air. I don't know what is the chin in the air thing. How are people in the UFC with their chins in the air? How have they not been knocked out left and right by the time we've gotten here? This is crazy to me that we're still in 2023 dealing with chins in the air. I don't get it. This shit should have been long gone after the Stefan Struves have gone, right? Like, we shouldn't have to be dealing with this shit anymore. And we still very much are. And unlike the case of Paddy Pimblett, Lucas Almeida paid for his chin being up in the air with sweet, sweet music. And there it is. That's all she wrote, man. Andre Feely knocked this poor boy out. And there's not much you can say. It was a great performance from Feely, and I'm glad to see him on top.
Yeah, and Almeida's a pretty credentialed striker, too, which makes it even more baffling that that's how he looked in there. And DC was calling out all fight long. He was like, man, he really looks stiff. He's not moving right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how the finish played out. To that point, it was pretty evenly matched. It was kind of like a feel him out type striking contest. And then Almeida evaded a left from Feely, but didn't move at all off of the line his head was on for that left, kept his chin up, and ate a huge right for it.
Yep.
So yeah, Feely got himself a huge knockout win here. And like he said, he's seen some high highs and some low lows in the UFC, and now he is back on a high, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah. Last one here. I'll toss it to you. Shamil Gaziev, round 2 TKO of Martin Boudet, shutting us all the hell up. Go, Mark.
Oh, I picked Gaziev, my friend.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, fuck.
Yeah. Which I found out on the broadcast that it's Gaziev. Who knew? It certainly looks like it would be Gaziev.
Gaziev, yeah. Gaziev.
But they were saying Gaziev. And yeah, he ran over Martin Boudet in this fight. He came out hot and aggressive, and Boudet, whatever it is, was never able to really get his legs under him. I felt like you could tell he was just like backpedaling, like, well, fuck, like. And then even once he got the cut to the I-2, it seemed like he really became more concerned with kind of protecting that cut than even trying to win the fight. But that was a hell of a debut for Shamil Gaziev. And don't forget, Boudet was 4-0 in the UFC. Like, it's not like he was some random. He had been looking pretty good himself, and Shamil was the first man to ever finish him in professional MMA as well. So that's a pretty impressive showing for a debut.
Yeah, and you already know how I feel about a lot of these big dudes, man. They don't always bring the most technique, the greatest technique in striking, or too much of anything, frankly. A lot of it is very power-based and just molly-whopping dudes, but Gaziev looked good. Gaziev looked real good. There is definitely technique behind what he's doing in there. I thought he looked really crisp in there. Boudet looked very, very lost in the striking department against him. And it also looks like he not only has the technique behind it, but he's got power, man. That dude looks like he cracks one. So he might very well be a problem in the division. It looks like he comes in here with all of these KOs and TKOs on his record. Another one added to the mix now as well. He might very well just keep racking him up until we see him fight, somebody with a little bit of actual top tenderness. I don't think that's a thing. I don't know.
And that's how we end the lightning round. Oh, man.
All right. We're going to keep this train rolling. We are almost at the end of the station here. Next stop here, we're going to get into Mark's Priaulx rankings. This man takes time out of his busy schedule, tells his children, please don't talk to me while I get these Priaulx rankings set, because this is what we do. Mark, let the people know who has risen, who has fallen, and who... No, I didn't have another joke for that one. Just tell us who's risen and who's fallen.
That might have been the best intro to the Priaulx rankings I've ever got. I got to tell Mike that you topped it in one attempt. All right, we got 5 risers and 2 fallers this week, so definitely some activity. For the fallers, usually I need a move of at least 3 to put it on this list, because I'm not just putting every little move on here, but this one's only 2, but I felt like it was significant, which is Colby Covington, simply because he has been 1 or 2 for seemingly ages, and he has now fallen from number 2 to number 4 in my welterweight ranking, so I felt like that was noteworthy. I saw the UFC even went as far as dropping him to number 5. I kept him ahead of Burns. They put him behind Burns, and I debated it myself, so I don't even hate the number 5. But yeah, so odd to see Colby finally take a tumble from that 1 or 2 spot. And then the other faller for this week is Casey O'Neill, who we just discussed. She goes from number 13 in my women's flyweight rankings down to number 17 off of her little 2-fight losing streak here. Then we get into the 5 risers. First one, the man we just discussed, Shamil Gaziev, was obviously not ranked, made his debut, jumps in already as my number 19 heavyweight. So nice spot for him to start at. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about Boudet. The dude was 4-0. He was I think he was my number 19 going into this fight. So yeah, that's a nice way to jump into the mix. Yeah. Next man up, Alonzo Menafield, a guy who we talked about earlier, who, has had his highs, he's had his lows. Obviously, he was ranked some years back. He had fallen down. He was still number 25 in my light heavyweight rankings coming into this fight, and he is now back up at number 15 after beating Dustin Jacoby. So right back in the mix, and I believe the UFC ranked him as well. Next one up the card, Ariane Lipski, obviously the other side of that Casey O'Neill fight. She goes from number 24 to number 16 in my women's flyweight ranks, so just outside of my top 15 for her. Then you know who the boy is. Paddy Pimblett goes from number 28 to number 24 in my lightweight rankings. Again, I'm not going crazy. Obviously, I've had Tony falling down a bit over these past chunk of fights, but you can't deny it. Paddy keeps inching his way up, and now he is number 24. The thing about it is, as we alluded to, kind of at that point now where he's going to have to fight some real dudes, and we're going to see what happens here. So we will see. And then the last one, again, kind of breaking my own rule because it's only 2 spots, but I felt like it was significant, which is Shavkat Rakhmonov goes from number 5 to number 3 in my welterweight rankings. And that's only because I still got Kamaru in him. So we'll see if he's even leaving the division. But he is number 3 for me at the moment. And that closes out the Priaulx rankings for this week.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. So realistically, close this out by tossing it to Omar to take us inside the MMA sphere. He said he was ill prepared. Let's see what he conjured up for us.
Still quite ill prepared. However, we do have some information on the UFC Miami card that is going down on March 9th.
Fuck yeah.
Your boy is really hoping to afford tickets to this one. But
dude, fuck yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest, man. The names on this card, it's not looking good for your boy. It's not looking good for your boy. This shit is probably going to be expensive as balls, and I'm probably not going to be able to afford it.
That's fair.
I can't pull another Khabib Conor situation. I felt guilty about it back then. I still feel guilty about it now, like 7 years later, but I can't do it again. But let's get to these couple fight announcements here, and then we will wrap it up nice and early. First on the list here, we have Ludovic Klein versus Joel Alvarez. That fight has been added to UFC Saudi Arabia. That fight is going down on March 2nd in the lightweight division.
Man, that's a big jump for Ludovic Klein.
Yep. The next fights on here, the rest of the fights that I have on here are all from UFC 299. That will be going down on March 9th in Miami. And we're starting off here with Ian Machado Gary getting that rebooking with Jeff Neal. That is official. We've talked about this before, but there have been a lot of ups and downs and rumors and things like that. And we're finally official, heard it out of Venom Page's mouth, heard it out of Dana White's mouth. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page is official, and it will be going down again on March 9th in UFC Miami. That fight is fantastic. Petr Yan versus Song Yadong also added to that card. And finally, Gilbert Burns.
Man. Sorry,
you don't like that fight?
I like that fight. I really, really wanted Yan and Figueiredo. It just is much more fun to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
I like that fight. Petr Yan needs a fucking fight. Like that dude.
Yeah, I mean he had a fight. It had to be one of them. I knew it'd be either Figueiredo or Song. I was just hoping it went the other way. But yeah, I mean it's a good fight.
He needs to win too. That dude's all of a sudden on this like crazy losing streak. Shit is crazy.
I know. It's wild.
Last one we have here is Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. That fight is also going down on March 9th at UFC 299 in Miami. And that's all we have for you this week in all the different meetings.
Love it. Headed to bed nice and early.
Early night. My wife might still be awake. Who knows? Who knows?
All right. So I don't know what our plans are. I know sometimes we take a holiday week off. We haven't really discussed it. I'm sure we're going to get some special episodes in here with, our things of the year and our previews for the new year and predictions and whatever it may be. If you've been watching us for a while, this is usually our move around the holidays. So we'll definitely be getting some of those episodes out for you guys. But not 100% sure what our plan is yet, dates wise. So just check in on the page, and I'm sure we'll have stuff for you over the holidays at one point or another.
Yep. Just a reminder, there is no UFC this weekend, so don't tune into an empty channel.
Yeah. And when is Christmas? Christmas is Monday, so yeah, we will not be on again. So Merry Christmas to everyone who listens, who celebrates Christmas. And maybe we'll see you before the new year. Not sure, again, what our plans are.
Yeah. If not, we'll see you in the new year.
Yup. Happy holidays, folks.
Peace.
Peace.
Every time.